All right, let's start with a big story that we're tracking on Wion this hour, where 4 days after the dastardly and the deadly Pulwama attack, the Indian forces have successfully eliminated the masterminds behind the blast that had resulted in the deaths of 40 CRPF personnel. In a joint operation, the forces blasted a terrorist shelter in Pulwama's Pinglan area, killing the top Pakistani-based Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists and also the key Pulwama conspirator Abdul Rashid Ghazi and also Kamran Hilal. The house was located near the highway where the CRPF convoy was attacked on the 14th of February, and also 4 Indian army men, including a major, were martyred during the encounter which was underway in the Kashmir Valley earlier this morning. The 2 soldiers have also been injured, and now all martyred army men belong to the 55 Rashtriya Rifles. A civilian also reportedly has been killed as a collateral in the gunfight which began in the wee hours of Monday. Now, the operation in the Pinglan area in Pulwama began after the Indian Armed Forces, comprising of the Army, the CRPF and Jammu and Kashmir police teams, launched a cordon and search operation after getting information about the presence of terrorists in the region. Meanwhile, the police have instructed the locals to stay clear of the encounter site. The forces have expanded the search operations. A cordon and search operation has been launched in Pulwama's neighbouring district of Shopian. All right, now to add more perspective to what has happened since this morning and also to the Pulwama attack, and is to how India should guard itself against similar such attacks in the future, we are joined in by Mr. Ajay Sahani, who is a security and a counter-terrorism expert. Mr. Sahani, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast in Wion. And let me begin by asking you, India has managed to take out the masterminds, the people who actually masterminded this Pulwama convoy attack in the encounter that they carried out this morning. How big a success is it for India?
This is a significant tactical success, but it will have no strategic impact. These are masterminds of individual operations. The real masterminds of terrorism are located in Pakistan. And unless the issue of Pakistani support to terrorism can be addressed by long-term and strategic capacity building efforts, covert operations, the use of all instrumentalities of state power against Pakistan, you will find that this is essentially cannon fodder which can very easily be replaced.
All right, but the question, of course, here, Mr. Sahani, is Pakistan, for its part, has completely denied its involvement in this attack. Now, India in the past has always given proof and evidence. It has asked that Pakistan should act. But Pakistan pretty much every single time has said that there is not enough concrete evidence to act on what is happening in terms of these incidents. So what should India do now? Have the steps that have been announced by the Indian government, are they sufficient? India has taken off the MFN status. It's also imposed 200% tariff duties on goods that are exported from Pakistan. And also there are other measures which India wants to in fact embark upon to isolate Pakistan. Do you think this is going to be sufficient in cornering Pakistan and making Pakistan change its tack?
None of these measures has anything more than symbolic value. It will have no impact on Pakistan's conduct and the trajectory of its support to terrorism. As far as giving evidence to Pakistan is concerned, giving evidence to a criminal will not make him go and hang himself. You have got to have the power to impose penalties on Pakistan. Such power cannot be acquired unless you have a long-term strategy and you invest in that long-term strategy to strengthen both your internal security and stabilizing operations in Jammu and Kashmir, and to strengthen your outreach into Pakistan through whatever means available, and to strengthen your basic defense capacities to ensure that you can dominate any conventional confrontation with Pakistan.
All right. And now, as a counter-terrorism expert, what measures do you think that India should in fact resort to try and address this crisis where we seem to be just reacting to one terror attack from another? But what should India do to guard itself against such terror tactics that are employed by Pakistan as a matter of strategy?
Very simply, go back and look at the reports of your own inquiries on the status of your defense systems and your internal security apparatus. Last year in March, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense had submitted a report which said that 68% of all equipment with the armed forces was in the vintage category, and that India did not have ammunition enough to sustain a 10-day war with Pakistan. With this kind of investment, not even capacity building, but even maintaining your forces at any level of readiness, if this kind of investment is not available, what is the use of talking about all these grandiose schemes of how you will dominate and you will defeat Pakistan after every incident? You cannot do anything against Pakistan because you are not preparing to do anything. We only talk about these things after a major incident. And then we go back to our inertial incompetence, and I would suggest dishonesty.
Absolutely. Now, what Pakistan in fact resorts to is it uses these
your budgets every year.
Go ahead, make your point, Mr. Sahani.
Every year, every year we have a nominal increase in internal security and defense budgets of 5 to 6%, which means that there is an actual contraction of investment in real terms, because first of all, inflation accounts for very much more than this. And secondly, the revenue expenditure is constantly increasing, which means the cost of salaries, pensions and maintenance and operational costs are constantly going up. There is almost nothing left for capital expenditure which is required for capacity building. We keep on boasting about some acquisitions, but these acquisitions only meet the requirements of 15 and 20 years, partially meet the requirements of 15 and 20 years ago. They are nowhere near meeting the known requirements of the current situation.
Mr. Sahani,
and the current
but these are remedial measures that you would in fact resort to in case of a conventional war with Pakistan, that is beefing up our defense ammunition. But the kind of warfare that is being waged by Pakistan is through non-state actors. It is through these proxies such as Masood Azhar, through individuals like Hafiz Saeed. So my question to you is, when Pakistan is resorting to what is such an unconventional kind of a warfare against India, where it is relying on these terrorists, these non-state actors, why has India not hit out at them and has relied more on the Pakistani state to act on them, while the Pakistani state, and of course not just the deep state, but also sometimes members of the administration, the civil administration, have said that members such as Hafiz Saeed are actually assets for Pakistan?
For the same reason that we cannot go into a conventional war. First of all, conventional dominance ensures that subconventional means would be less tempting to the adversary. Secondly, we have dismantled our covert capabilities over decades as far as Pakistan is concerned. So we really have very, very, very limited assets, and those are only assets for intelligence acquisition that are available to us on the ground in Pakistan. Unless we invest into developing covert capacities in Pakistan, we cannot suddenly decide after an incident that we will have some kind of a massive and dramatic covert operation. People talk nonsense about, how America went into Abbottabad and took out bin Laden. That requires a military intelligence capability that simply is not being developed in this country.
And why do you think that is?
So talking about the kind of retaliation that a lot of people are talking, that is because complete political blindness, short-sightedness, no concern whatsoever for the national interest, where every policy is only directed towards the optics of an election.
Okay, so
and this is not this government. Every government proceeding has done the same thing.
And also the other problem here, Mr. Sahani,
that is a big word. The lack of any strategy. Lack of any strategy.
Absolutely. That is something that the Indian administration will have to look at. But the other issue, of course, is the backing that Pakistan has got from some of its rich and pretty powerful allies. Now, for instance, China has always blocked India's efforts at getting Pakistani Masood Azhar recognized as a UN-designated terrorist. And Saudi Arabia, just yesterday, its crown prince has given a bit of a financial lifeline to Pakistan by promising an investment of about $20 billion. What can India realistically do in such circumstances?
First of all, you cannot isolate Pakistan because everyone is supporting Pakistan. They have a very good phalanx of supporters. Not everyone, but they have a phalanx of committed supporters. China, Saudi, even America continues to cover up a great deal of what Pakistani mischief, because they feel that they need them to resolve their own conundrum in Afghanistan. Secondly, all this nonsense about getting Mazur Azhar on a terrorism list has no value whatsoever. It has nothing more than symbolic value. Hafiz Muhammad Saeed is already on that list. The Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed are both on a terrorism list. So what difference will it make if you also put Masood Azhar on that list? They go around openly speaking across Pakistan in public meetings. They make statements after statements about inciting people to jihad against India, even though they are already under all sorts of international restrictions. What do you think one more listing will do? These are symbolic measures. Unless you develop and stop thinking that other people are going to come and fight and impose sanctions and do help you resolve your problem. You have to have your own capacities to resolve your own problems.
Absolutely.
Nobody stands for anyone in the world.
Absolutely. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Ajay Sahani, for joining us and getting his dark perspective, because this, in many ways, is a battle that India will have to wage. Although India has tried to isolate Pakistan by building an international consensus, the fact of the matter is pretty much every world power has its hands pretty much deep into the Pakistan-Afghan pie, and therefore may not necessarily take the kind of action that India wants the world community to. So this is a fight that India will have to try come up with a cohesive strategy to take on Pakistan in the way that it has used terror as a strategy in conducting its international policy.